in the last lecture, we started with the Node.js, and I have given the introduction to the Node.js, where to use the Node.js and where not to be used. The Node.js is the environment which will be used for developing the web applications, at the same time any kind of applications related to the desktop using the JavaScript coding that you can realize directly in the Node.js environment. That is what the thing we have seen in the last lecture. At the same time, Node.js is an open source. You can download it for free and you can install it. The features of the Node.js we have seen, it is having a V8 JavaScript engine. You can perform the creation of the dynamic pages and also can perform the general file handling that you do with the normal programming languages like C programming, Java and other things. You can collect the data, that is form data. You can submit to the databases, okay, and also can modify the databases, and also we can build the applications using JavaScript on the Node.js. These are the features of the Node.js that we have seen. At the same time, Node.js features are the technical features are like this. This is single-threaded, non-blocking, asynchronously programmed programming environment will be available in the Node.js. Since Node.js will consume very less memory, it is not recommended for the applications that develop that are going to be developed with CPU incentiveness as the main criteria. So such kind of applications are not suitable for developing in the Node.js environment. Today, we'll see the programming aspects of the Node.js, like how we can create our own web server and how can we write how can we perform the file handling in the JavaScript, that is Node.js environment that we are going to see now. So once you install the Java Node.js on your computer, automatically a path will be set inside the computer. That is a default path will be set to the Node.js environment. That you can also see like this. You can open the command prompt. So I have created a folder called Node.js programs, and in this I want to save the programs and all. So once you enter into the command prompt, just you type node. So automatically it will give you the node.js version 14.15.4 version is going to be used here. So if I ask, if I say .help, so automatically it will give you the help information. So this is the way how you can see that whether the Node.js is in the path or not. And whatever the file that you create, that will be created and should be saved with the extension .js. Like how we will save the C program with .c and Java program with .java. Like that, you are supposed to save the program of Node.js since you are writing in the JavaScript environment, the file extension must be .js. Now we'll move on to the web browser. How can we go for viewing of the content in the web browser by creating our own web servers? Remember, web server is nothing but this will perform the request and responses that is submitted via HTTP protocol. HTTP is an application layer protocol that in turn will use the TCP as the protocol in the transport layer. And that TCP will be mainly focusing on the which port to be considered, and then it will take the help of the IP protocol in the network layer. So this IP protocol plus the port, which combinedly called as the socket. A socket is equal to IP address plus port number. Here IP address is the one that where you are working, that is the computer where you are working. It is having an IP address. Usually we'll consider the IPv4 version or IP version 4 address, which is of 32-bit length. And there exists another version which is called IPv6 version, which is version 6, which is of 128 bit length. While coming to this, IPv4 version, usually IPv4 is popularly used, and whenever you run any server onto the local computer, you may, whether you know your IP address or won't know the IP address, but you can use a default IP address called 127.0.0.1. So what is this 127.0.0.1? 127.0.0.1. So this is what the IP address called as the loopback address, or we can also say this is a local host address. So either you may use the 127.0.0.1 or the local host. Anything you can use. Okay, both are one and the same. If you don't know, if you know the IP address, you can directly use the IP address of your computer. Otherwise, you are working only in the local environment. So you can use simply 127.0.0.1 or simply a name called local host. So this may be used with the HTTP : // So that is which means that you are going to operate the HTTP protocol on the local host, that is 127.0.0.1. Whenever you write this, and to which port you want to connect it, because every computer will be having only one IP address. That is a fixed one. But on a computer, there exist many services. How can you distinguish one service with another service? That will be distinguished with the help of the port number. Usually, there are two broad classification of the ports. One is user-defined ports. Second one is predefined ports. Predefined ports are one that will range from 1 to 1024. For example, so predefined ports. So these predefined ports are from 1 to 1024, and user-defined ports are greater than any port number which is greater than 1024 is user-defined port. So predefined ports are the system reserved ports. These are system reserved ports. So system reserved ports is nothing but these ports should not be disturbed, because that will be taken care by that will be handled by the system. If you are creating an application, then you are supposed to use a port number which is greater than 1024. So socket, because we are supposed to connect a socket, IP address plus port number. It is just like IP address is the plot number where an apartment is available. Okay, it won't change. That is, the plot number will not change, but flat numbers will change. For example, if there is a courier that has come to a person, the person will be uniquely identified with the plot number plus flat number. Okay, so plot number so and so, in which flat number FF1 or first floor, second floor, third floor. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Maybe several apartment numbers will be there. Okay, so this particular data or this particular courier will be correctly sent to the corresponding address, that is to the socket. So that is what is called IP address plus port number, which is said to be socket. In HTTP, we use the port number as the 8080. That is a standard port number. We can also say 80 is also a standard port number for HTTP requests and responses. Like that, we have several port numbers, several ports available, and some dedicated services will be there. Those will use a particular port number by default. So that is the reason we should not disturb those port numbers. For example, we might have seen in your labs, etc. We have seen that a DNS server will use the port number 53. While coming to the HTTP, will use the port 80. HTTPS will use the port 443. FTP will use the port 21. SMTP will use the port 25. Like that, there are some there are some services, there are standard services usually that will be run on computers, will be binded to a port and will run. So on a computer, you can have a DNS, you can have a HTTP server, you can also have a HTTPS server, you can also have FTP, SMTP, post office protocol, which you may use 110. So like that, you can have any number of services that will be run on a computer. But irrespective of the number of services that will run on the computer, you will be having only one IP address. So the IP address plus port will be uniquely identified. You will uniquely identify the service that you want to address. So with this information, let will move on to the HTTP. So now here we are supposed to run a HTTP browser, or sorry, HTTP server, which will be binded to the 8080 port. So the code tells the computer to write hello world. Okay, if anyone tries to access the computer port on 8080, that is what the thing it is asking to do. So here, where HTTP is equal to require of HTTP. This is like you are going to include a module called HTTP that is already available in the Node manager. Whenever you install Node, by default, some packages will be installed, in which a default package is HTTP, or we can say default module is HTTP. In React.js, we have seen including of a library like from React, import React from React module. Like that, how we have included, that is the structure of the syntax that to be used for importing the content into the React.js program. Like that, in Node.js, if we want to include a module, you are supposed to use like this require of the content, the module name. So here the module name is HTTP. This module will be assigned to the HTTP, and with this HTTP, whatever the functions available in this HTTP module will be accessed. So HTTP dot create server. So where this create server function is available, we all know that this create server is all might have already defined in the HTTP module, because we have included it. So create server of, here a function is going to be written, because for any HTTP there will be two ways of accessing, either giving the request or getting the response. So that is the reason there are two default objects that we are going to write in this, default parameters that we are going to pass to the function, that is called request and response. So which is also said to be the HTTP request and HTTP response. This HTTP request and HTTP response will be can be done in two forms. So how it can be done? The HTTP request and response. So can be done in two ways, via two methods called post method, another is get method. So post method, whenever you use post method, whatever you post or whatever you submit via form, okay, whatever the content submitted via form will not appear on the browser address bar. That means confidentially this data will be sent to the logic which will which will take the data and will process it. While coming to the get, the content submitted via get method will be shown directly onto the browser's address bar. So this is what the main difference between get method and post method. So whenever you use get method, it is very easy for any hacker to inject a malicious code into the logic that you are going to implement in the background. So majority of the injection attacks, either it may be a command injection, or it may be a SQL injection, or it may be a OS related program injection, or it may be a cross-site scripting injection, or it may be any kind of injection that are possible if the website is using the get method. And at the same time, get method is a very simple method you can also dynamically provide the parameters and you can work towards it. But the main disadvantage is anyone can simply insert the commands or inject the malicious commands and can work with the get requests. So that is the reason always to make the data private, to have a privacy to the data, and the data should not be visible to the outside, and it should be handled very securely. In such a cases, it is always recommended to use post method. So usually the HTTPS plus the post request and response will always be will be giving you higher security. So HTTPS is nothing but the general HTTP protocol plus the secure socket layer. So secure socket layer can be implemented via the transport layer secure TLS. Okay. So the HTTPS is nothing but conventional HTTP protocol with the secure socket layer. That is, the HTTP protocol is at the application layer, while coming to the SSL is at the transport layer. So any HTTP request will take the help of the transport layer. In the transport layer, which protocol it will take care of? The TCP protocol will take care of the HTTP request. So there, a secure socket layer will be attached, but that will take care of the security of the data that is coming from the upper layer, that is HTTP layer. So that because the method that we have used is post, that will not be shown onto the browser's address bar, so that in that way the attackers or maybe a malicious intent person cannot view the content on the browser. At the same time, since it cannot be viewed, so it will be confidential, and that data will be encrypted, and via some security mechanisms that are implemented at the secure socket layer, the content will be sent to the receivers. And the receiver will do the same task again, will decrypt it and will show onto the screen without appearing onto the browser's window. So this is what the HTTPS will be followed, that the mechanism will be followed in the HTTPS. Usually to have the higher security, HTTPS is always recommended. That is the reason all the electronic commerce applications, all the banking applications where the money transactions are involved will use the HTTPS as the service. So with this introduction, let us move on to this code. The code tells the computer to write the hello world if anyone is trying to access the port 8080. Save the command, save the file hello.js and write the CMD in the search field. Now what I will do is I have already typed this code and to save the time. So here the index.js, here what I will do is this is the code that I have just now explained. Now what this code is doing, where HTTP is equal to require HTTP. HTTP is a dot create server function of request and response, which is the HTTP request and HTTP response. Now response dot write head of 200 content type text/HTML. This is the default way of writing, that you are going to mention the content that you are going to present onto the screen is of type text or HTML. And here 200 is the code will be given to the will be given a response code that is to be appeared with the HTTP. We'll see this response codes just now, just a while later. Response.end of hello world. That means the response should print hello world onto the screen. So whenever anyone requested to listen to the 8080. So this is the usually this is a nested function. Function can be written like this in JavaScript. So within one function will be opened, and within that you will call other functions, again close it, and then you go for this particular thing will return the function type of HTTP request and response, and the create server dot listen. So with this, whatever the object created on this dot listen of 8080 port is called. So whatever the program you write, that must be saved with an extension .js, and you can go to the command prompt from the Visual Studio Code, or you may go from the command prompt like this. So I am going from this command prompt. The reason is it is somewhat brighter and can be visible. Now, what are the programs available? No, index.js. So how to compile this index.js? So you type node space index.js. So here HTTP colon / 127.0.0.1 8080. So it was printed hello world. Okay. So what is this 127.0.0.1? That is the local host. Either you may do like this, or simply HTTP colon / localhost colon 8080. So both will give the same answer. So this is the way you are supposed to write the content onto the. You are supposed to write the program and can view onto the browser. So far we have used HTTP as the package that is included with the help of require function. So if you want additional packages, how to download them or how to install them. So for that, Node Package Manager is a tool that is available. You can download any type of package which are going to be used with the JavaScript with the help of this Node Package Manager. So in the npm.js.com, you will find a huge number of packages you can download from this. Like for example, here is npm, and this is a npmjs.com website in which you will find many huge number of the frameworks and packages that are available that you can download it. So without any price, and you can make use of it. And whatever the third-party module you want, that you can download directly with the help of npm install package unique name that you can use. We have seen in the case of React library, we have directly installed with the help of npm install React DOM and React router DOM. These are the packages that we have installed with the help of npm. Like that, you can install whatever the package you want to use with your application. So now we are going to dissect the code, and we are trying to understand what is the code we have written. The modules or packages available can be imported in the .js file as require function. Just now we have seen just now like this, where HTTP is equal to require of HTTP. Either you may write like this, or directly in Node. Whenever I say Node like this, I can say where HTTP is equal to require of HTTP. So HTTP, whenever I say like this, whenever I enter the object, so the whatever the content that I have, whatever the object that I have created. See here, where is nothing but here type of object only, because the functions whatever we have defined related to the HTTP request and response receiving of the things. were available in the HTTP package. So the instance will be assigned to the HTTP object, and to know what are the default values, default functions that are available in the HTTP, we can simply type HTTP and enter. A JSON form of code will be found here. A JSON form means JavaScript form, that is a data form that will be in general will be shown in the JavaScript environment. So that will be shown like this. Here connection listener function, connection listener methods. These are the connection listener methods. What are these in access control list, ACL, connect, get, log. So put method, get method, post method. These are the various other methods that can be used, connection listeners that can be used with the HTTP. All these were defined in this particular HTTP package and various success codes. So we have seen 200, 200 means okay. Like that, 100 means continue, 101 means switching protocols. Like that, we all know that 401 is unauthorized, 404 means client not found, 501 means server not found or not implemented, or 500 means internal server error. These are the most commonly found error codes on the HTTP servers or web applications. So all these were defined in the HTTP package or HTTP object that we have created. Next, what are the other things available? Here agent, here default maximum sockets, infinity. How many users can connect to this? Any number of users can connect to it. So that is the reason here the infinity was mentioned. If you can also restrict it by making change to 10 or 20 or 30. That is up to you how many connections you want to accept. Client request, this is another function. Incoming messages, outgoing message, server response, create server. This is the create server function that we are going to use. So create server and validate header name, validate header value, get request. Okay, these are the various other functions that are used in the HTTP. So HTTP dot create server. Okay, dot create server. So here HTTP dot create server is the function. So we can go to the documentation that is available with the Node.js for knowing about the HTTP and its internal functions. What are the functions defined? So totally by entering like this HTTP, you can come to know the function available is connection listener. Next is status codes are there, which is a structure which is defined here. Next we have seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Around 12, 13 functions were defined, in which we have used the create server, which will take the parameter as a function of this request and response. And with the help of response, we have written whatever the content we want to present onto the screen. So this is the way the HTTP object can be decoded. So now your application has access to the HTTP module and it is able to create the server. So what are the other built-in modules available other than the HTTP? Here we can have a look in this. That is module asset. Asset is a module, buffer, child process, cluster, crypto, dgram, DNS. See, look at DNS lookup. For that also you have a program, a module defined. Like that, huge number of lakhs of modules are available. Lakhs of modules, thousands, lakhs of modules are available. You can also develop your own module and also can include it in the programs. Okay. If you feel that this is very important to develop, no one has developed, you can also write a project that assigning a module or creating a module which will be helpful for a particular application that was not implemented frequently. So that kind of things also you can take up and you can create your own module and can work with that. So like that, you can also create a login in the Node.js and in the repository. You can also upload your modules by mentioning the proper documentation that how to use it, what are the things consisting of, and what are the methods it consisting of, how to use those methods, related documentation you can place and you can upload into the Node.js repositories. So it will be useful for anyone who wants to apply the related application. So what are the other modules? Here HTTP module just now we have seen, and HTTPS module is also available. That is to make the Node.js act as the HTTPS server. Networking modules. So if you want to do any project on the networking, you can make use of this net to create server and clients for the networking project. So that is just like socket programming, client server programming, chat applications, or the virtual classroom applications, or a WhatsApp kind of application, or any kind of client server based kind of applications can be built using this particular net package. And if you want to communicate with the operating system, OS package can be used path package, especially used for getting the files from the hard disk. Like that, there exist so many other things. Like just now, as I told you, the secure socket layer (TLS) to implement the transport layer security and SSL protocols. TLS related packets are there. TTY, URL packages there. Utility packages, which is having the utilities like data structures, etc. So these are the various built-in packages available whenever you install the Node.js. By default, it will be installed. If you want to install in a separate way a particular package, then you are supposed to use the npm module like this. Npm install the package. And as just now I told you that you can also create your own modules because of the flexibility of creating our own module. So there exists, you can nowadays you can see there exist thousands or lakhs of packages available in the npm repository. So how can you create your own module? You can create your own module like this. Export keyword is used. Like how we have used the export keyword in the React.js export default component. So like that, in the same way here also you are supposed to use the export keyword to make the properties and methods available outside the file. The following is the example that will create a module that returns the date and time of the object. Exports.myDateTime is equal to function return date. Save the code in the file mymodule.js. So here what I did is I have already written this. So mymodule.js exports.myDateTime is equal to function which returns the date object. So date is a default object that is already available in the Node.js. Simply I am returning this. So whenever this is a constructor, actually this is a constructor type of thing. So whenever it is returned, automatically the variable that will receive this date object will become an object type. Now you are supposed to save this file as mymodule.js and you need to include it in the other program that you write here. So how you will include this? You will include like this, where HTTP is equal to require of HTTP, where DT, this is the date, actually this is the date module or date object is equal to require. Since this module is available in the current working directory, whenever you want to represent the current working directory, it must be represented like this /my_module. Okay, so /my_module, which is this module is available in the current working directory. So this module is what is doing? It is returning date function. Okay, it is returning date function. Now this date constructor will be directly assigned to DT object. So with this DT object, whatever the functions defined in the date class can be used. So whatever the program we have written previously, a simple modification to that is response.write of the date and time are currently plus t, that is the concatenation with the string that we have written previously, plus is the concatenation operator to concatenate two strings. So dt dot my date time, so which will give the current date and time and will be printed onto the browser. So in index.js we have already done with this first coding, then that will comment this and will uncomment this second one, which is related to the including of the user defined module. So as we know, you can directly go to the command prompt from here, terminal. You may run like this: node space index.js. So you can visualize the same. Localhost colon 8080. The date and time currently are Thursday, February 18, 2021, 10:44, and GMT plus 5:30, which is Indian Standard Time. So this is the content was shown because this is a module that we have created on our own and included. Because sometimes whenever you develop an application, sometimes all the packages may not be available in one thing. So to make the programmer to work in an easy way, you can do in this way that whatever the packages are needed, what are the related functions are needed, that you can combine in a program which is called like a exporting program like this, and you can make it as a module. So anyone which is making programs in a particular domain can make use of that module and can work together. So this is the example related to the creating of your own modules. And let will inspect some more thing related to the built-in HTTP module. Already we have seen almost all the things related to the built-in HTTP module. Node.js has the built-in module called HTTP. Not only HTTP, it also have the other thing called HTTPS also. Let will inspect the HTTPS where HTTPS is equal to require of HTTPS. So HTTPS. So what this HTTPS is consisting of? HTTPS is having the agent, global agent, and it is having the default port as 443. Protocol to be used is HTTPS. Request, sockets, free sockets, keep alive for milliseconds, 1000 seconds, keep alive false, maximum sockets, infinity, free sockets 256. So like that, there are so many some other functions were defined, and here the server function is going to be used, and create server, get request, and simple request is going to be used. By default, request is post in the case of the HTTPS. While coming to the HTTP, the default method is get method. So if you mention post, then only post will be applicable. Otherwise, by default, get method will be applicable. Here, why it is here? So you look at here, keep alive for milliseconds. It is just like you might have seen in the case of the electronic commerce sites, or maybe in the email accounts, or maybe in some secured accounts. If you are in case of internet banking and all, if you won't perform any work for around 10 minutes or 8 minutes with the internet account or internet banking account, automatically you will be logged off. So that means your session will be expired by default. So that is what the thing called maintaining the aliveness. So once the 1000 seconds or 1000 some specified time is over, then the session will be expired. So then again you need to re-log in so that a new session ID will be generated, a new pattern of communication will happen, and a secured code will be generated again, and the remaining other process will go on. So so it will actually will help you not to fall into the trap of any intruders or maybe any hackers. So that is in this way the HTTPS will provide you a security of the session and session management.